Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday to you. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of your Saturday. I've got a really fun class for you guys, but first I want to introduce myself. My name is Sara Lovecraft. I am a designer with Beadalon, and I really kind of focus on wire. I do a little bit of everything, but wire is definitely my favorite medium to use, and that's what we're going to be using today. I'm going to show you how to put together some really easy rings. This ring is going to work up really quickly, so I expect that this class is going to go by pretty quickly, but the results are definitely worth, even if it only takes us 20 minutes, it's definitely worth it, because this technique can actually be used in a bunch of different ways. So we're using it to create a ring, but you can do this with bracelets. You can do it in small sections for components for larger pieces, necklaces. You can even make chokers out of it. It's just a really cool technique. It's very easy. It's basically just braiding with wire. The biggest technique part of this is going to be the starting and the stopping. It can be a little fidgety in the beginning, but once you get going, I think you're going to see that you're going to be working these up really, really quickly. They look really good all by themselves. They're nice and lightweight, but you can also stack these up with other rings, other jewelry, and they're going to be super cool. So I'm going to turn you guys around and we're going to get started. All right, so the materials for this class are very minimum. You're not going to need much of anything at all. As far as the wire is concerned, I am using some 24 gauge German style wire. You can use 22 gauge for this if you want to. I just find that it is easier in the beginning to practice with the 24. It's nice and soft. It's going to do all the things that you want it to do. So if you've never done this before, I recommend starting with the 24 gauge just to get in the groove of things. As far as your tools are concerned, you just need the basics, some pliers. I always have 2 pairs of chain nose pliers, my round nose pliers, and a cutter tool. And then you're going to need some beads. And I've picked out some very small little faceted crystal beads. I got these, of course, from Michael's. And I'm just going to, they are hanging on a card, which is the way most of the beads that I get from Michael's are. I'm a huge fan of the cards. When I go into the Michael's and I can go and look at all of the rainbows of colors and textures and sizes and shapes of the beads, that's one of my favorite things about shopping at Michael's. And so I always kind of gravitate towards the beads that are hanging. These are, what's the wrong card for these? Let's see here. These are 3mm red glass luster beads. And there were 2 strands of them. There's a ton of them. They're so small. There's a lot of these to go around. So you're going to be able to make several rings with just one card, or you can just use your leftovers to make something that matches if you want to. That being said, you can also use seed beads for this project. You can also use bigger beads. If you like the way this looks and you want to try for a 4mm bead, or even a 6mm bead, you can do that. The 6mm beads are less comfortable to wear as a ring, but work great for a bangle or for smaller components. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Like I said, it's going to work up really, really quickly, but you can always watch the replay 24 to 48 hours later over on the Michael's YouTube channel if you want to see it again. Okay. All right. So what you're going to need is 2 pieces of your 24 gauge wire. You want a piece that's about 12 inches long, and then you want a piece that's about 6 inches long. That's just half of that. Now, if you need a bigger ring, you may need to adjust that. If you need a smaller ring, you may not use all of it. I'm definitely not going to use all of this, but it's better to have more than what you need. You cannot add wire to this kind of project. So definitely make sure you've got all that you need before you get started. I'm going to move my beads over out of the way, and we're going to bring in our round nose pliers, and we're going to start with that 12-inch piece of wire. And we just want to, I'm going to bring the ends together. We want to try to find the middle of the 12-inch piece of wire, and then you just want to use your round nose pliers to create a loop. And basically all I'm doing is just that. I'm not doing a wrapped loop. I'm not doing anything in particular. I'm just basically just wrapping the wire around the pliers to make myself a little loop. Doesn't have to be perfect. And the smaller, the better, really. Also, if you want to, you can take your wire and you can give it a twist. That might help. Just to kind of hold that loop shape. The only problem is that once you give it a twist, you can see sometimes it kind of knocks it out of that circular shape and makes it kind of funny looking. So it's really up to you. Like I said, this 24 gauge wire, and in the beginning it's a little fidgety, so play around with it and get it to what you want it to look like. I'm going to put this back on the pliers and kind of straighten up my loop a little bit, but that's what we are going to get started with. Okay, then we're going to take our 6-inch piece. The 6-inch piece is actually going to be the middle. So when you are creating a regular braid, you use 3 strands of something, right? 3 strands of hair, you know, 3 strands of ribbon, 3 strands of cord, whatever it is. For this, it's 3 strands of wire. What we have created are the 2 outer strands or the outer sections of our braid. Now we need to attach a piece to this to create our middle strand. So we're going to use a 6-inch piece of the same wire. And we want to attach this to our loop. To do that, there are a couple of different ways you can do this. If you want to wire wrap this to this, you absolutely can do that. Or you can create a hook. And in your instructions, that's what it says to do, is just to create a little hook. And we're going to hook it to our loop here. So I'm going to take my pliers and I'm just going to kind of turn the wire just like so to make a little hook. Doesn't have to be perfect, okay? Then I'm going to take that hook and I'm going to hook it onto the loop, and I want to try to center it up. I'll flip this over. Okay, so you can see. And then I just want to take my pliers and I want to flatten that hook down. And again, just like I mentioned before, this is the fidgety part in the beginning. The rest of this is going to be a breeze. It's just this part and setting everything up that just takes a little extra patience. Right? You just want to flatten that down and make sure that it's nice and secure. So we're going to flip this back over. And now we have our 3 strands and we are ready to get started. So what we're going to do is we are going to be adding beads to this. We're always going to be adding beads to the middle strand. So no matter which piece of wire is in the middle, that's going to be the strand or the piece of wire that we add our bead to. So I'm going to take one of our little crystals that come down to the end of our middle piece of wire, and I'm going to thread this on, and I'm going to bring it all the way down here up next to our loops, or our loop rather. Okay, now I'm also going to, as I'm working, I'm going to use my fingers to kind of straighten the wire out as I go. That's just going to kind of help to keep everything smooth and nice and neat. Okay, I'm going to take the outer wire or the top wire and I'm going to curve it and I'm going to bend it around the outer edge of that bead. Okay, then I'm going to take the inner wire, the one that's closest to my body, and I want to cross it over the top of that one that we just moved down. And I'm going to pull it and put it in the middle. So now this outer wire, the one that was closest to your body, has now become the inner middle wire. And that's going to be the wire that we add a bead to. So you just want to thread your bead on. Whoops. The hole on these beads is kind of hard to see. We're going to drop that down to the center. And then just kind of holding everything in place. I hold my bead, everything that I've done previously, I'm kind of holding between my fingers as I go. I'm going to take this top wire, I'm going to bring it around the edge of the bead, right? Just like we did before. I'm going to take the bottom wire, cross it over the top of that wire, and then move it to the middle. Now that it's our middle wire, we're going to add a bead to it. Drop that down. And then we're just going to keep going. This is the process. This is the technique. You're going to always take the outer wire, bend it around the curve of the bead. The bottom wire crosses over the top of that one and moves to the center. And then you can smooth the wires out as you go. Okay, so now we're back to the center, the bead. I'm going to drop that down. And as you're working, you may see when I pull my hands away, I can look at this one and I can see. So the first 2 sections were nice and tight. This third section has loosened up a little bit. All you have to do is just kind of wiggle the wires around in your fingers to kind of tighten it back up, right? So that it looks more consistent. That's really the biggest thing with all of this, is just holding on and keeping the consistency with all of it so that it looks even when you're finished. Okay, so I've got the bead on the center wire, taking this one down, that outer furthest away from me, down. I'm going to take the outer wire that's closest to me, cross it over the top of that one and move it to the center. And now we're ready to add another bead. So as I mentioned before, I'm using 24 gauge wire for this. You can use 22 gauge wire for this. I do recommend that you practice at least in the beginning with the 24 gauge wire just to get the hang of it. Once you get the hang of that and you move up to the 22 is really kind of the biggest that I would recommend. The thickest gauge wire I would recommend for rings. And part of the reason that I recommend 22 gauge or thinner is because when we get to the end, we have to secure the wire to the loop. And you see, we've got to do a little bit of wire wrapping here. The thicker the gauge wire, the bulkier this is. And remember, this is going to be on the inside of your hand. So if you're using 20 gauge or something thicker than 22 gauge, you're going to have this big, bulky wrap of wire, and that might not be super comfortable to wear. So I'll try to stick with the smallest wire possible, just for comfort more than anything. Now, if you're going to be doing bracelets, if you want to make a bangle bracelet, 20 gauge wire is perfect for this, or even thicker. You can even use some 14 gauge, 16 gauge. You just want to be sure that your beads are going to fit onto the wire. And as long as the beads fit, then you're good to go. All right, so we're just kind of moving along, and if you know ahead of time what size ring you need, then you can kind of be measuring as you go. I'm making this one for myself. I don't really know for sure what size I want it to be. So I just add some beads. And then once I think it looks long enough, I'm just going to hold it up to my finger and see, but you can always pre-measure if you want to. So we're just repeating the process, dropping down a bead onto that center wire, taking the outside wire, curving it around the edge of the bead. The bottom wire crosses over the top of that and moves to the center. Add a bead to the center wire and repeat. Okay, holding all that in place. Outer wire, and now it becomes the center, all right? It's looking pretty good. You can always make adjustments as you go. Just want to try to keep everything consistent. In the beginning, you may struggle with the consistency and the sizing of all of these, but it's only going to take you a couple times to practice. I promise this technique is very, very easy. Once you get the hang of it, you're going to see. It's really just a matter of how tight you're pulling the wire and how much pressure you're putting on everything as you're holding it in place, and it'll work up really easily. So outer wire, bottom outer wire becomes the center. And then I'm kind of just straightening as I go. I'm going to add one more bead, and then we're going to take a look and see where we're at as far as size is concerned. Okay, so outer wire around the edge of the bead, bottom outer wire curves up and goes to the center. All right, so I can easily take this. It's not going to ruin anything. It's not going to tear anything up, to bring it over to my hand and bend it around, because I can always flatten this all back out again. So it looks like it's actually going to be a little bit too big for me. I'm going to take one bead off, which is easy to do. So I'm just going to open up the wires and take that last bead that I added off. Okay, so now we're ready to secure this. And there are a couple of different ways that you can do this, but I'm going to show you the easiest way. For me, I just find that it is the less fussy of all of the techniques and ways that you can do this. So the goal here, we've got 3 wires. The goal is to get this down to one single wire, because one wire is much easier to work with than 3. And we've got some things crisscrossing here, obviously. Now, what I want is I want to take my 2 outer wires and I want to get them both on the same side and leave our center wire as is. So the wire that is the closest to my body is going behind this center wire. I'm very carefully going to take it and I'm going to bend it over that center wire and move it over here with the other wire. Okay. Now I want to straighten these out as much as I possibly can, just so that this is going to be pretty clean. In the beginning, when you first start doing this part, it may be a little wonky and bulky, but you're going to find that sweet spot after you do it a couple of times and what works for you. Okay, so now that I've straightened those 2 wires out, I very carefully want to take both wires, okay? And I'm wrapping both wires around this center wire. At least once or twice, okay? 2 times is gonna be plenty. Any more than that, you're gonna really kind of bulk this up and make it too big. And again, we're going for comfort here. But I've wrapped those wires around that center wire, and now I feel like they're nice and secure. I'm gonna come in with my cutter tool and I'm gonna trim off. Now, I definitely wanna come in with my pliers now and push those wires down, because again, this is all about comfort, because this is going to be on your finger. You don't want to have these little tiny wires sticking up and poking you in the back of the finger or getting caught on your clothing or anything else, right? So you run your finger across it and make sure that everything is good to go. Okay, so now we're just down to the one wire. That's much easier to manage. And we're just going to curve this around, and we're going to take the tail end of that wire and we're going to stick it through our loop on the other end. And we're going to pull, and that's going to pull everything together here. In the beginning, it doesn't look much like a ring, but we can shape it with our fingers. Now, I'm not super concerned with the shape just yet. More than anything, I really want to be focused on securing this. Then I can focus on reshaping this into a nice circle. Okay, so now what I want to do is I just want to wrap this wire through that loop, kind of wire wrapping to the loop a couple of times. And you can do it to one side or the other. It really makes no difference. It's just whatever is the most natural. And again, this is why this 24 gauge wire is the best choice for this. So I've hooked it through the loop once. I'm going to take it around and I'm going to hook it again, basically just doing a little wire wrap. If you need your pliers, pull that wire just to kind of help you get it nice and tight. Okay, so there was one wrap around. I'm going to do another one. Using your pliers really helps to get it tight, because this is such tiny wire and you're working in such a small space, right? And I'm going to do one more just for good measure. So taking the wire up through the center, and then I just want to cinch it down. Oh, and that worked out. The wire actually broke right where I was going to end up trimming it anyway. There's a little piece sticking out. I'm going to go ahead and trim that off. And again, just want to come in with your pliers, kind of tidy everything up. You just don't want any of those little tiny pieces of wire sticking out. So cleaning that up just a little bit, right? And it doesn't have to be perfect. This is going to be on the inside of your finger, right? Nobody is ever going to see that. Now our ring looks crazy. So we need to shape this into an actual circle. If you've got a ring mandrel, you can use that. If you don't, that's okay. Just shape it with your fingers or put it on something. I'm going to use my ring mandrel just to kind of bring it back into that shape. You just want to be careful because you do have beads in here, so you don't want to crack your beads or anything. But we've got it in this nice round shape and it's ready to wear. And like I said, you can stack these up. So you can make these in a bunch of different colors and then stack them up. I love stacked jewelry. It's always going to be popular. And having 2 or 3 of those all stacked up together in different colors is really cool. So if you wanted to do like birthstone colors, these are great gifts, bridesmaids gifts, wedding party gifts, Mother's Day gifts, Grandmother's Day gifts. Is really cool because you can do a bunch of them in, in all the colors of the birthstones, and they're lightweight, so it's easy to wear as a stack for sure. So there you go, guys. Like I said, this is a quick and easy class, but it definitely has a lot of different applications. So let's just talk about that really quickly before I go, just so that I've left you with plenty of inspiration. So again, you can do this as a ring, just like I showed you. You can also do this as a bangle. If you were going to do this as a bangle bracelet, I definitely would try going for a thicker gauge wire, maybe some bigger beads, because this is a very soft 24 gauge wire. I would recommend maybe using maybe a different technique with a bangle as far as your closure is concerned, though this will work. You really just want to kind of play around with it. But you can use this also as hoop earrings, right? You could just as easily add an ear wire to this and make a hoop earring out of it. You can use this in small sections and then incorporate it into other beaded pieces. So you do have lots and lots of options with this design. The technique works the same no matter how many of the, no matter what size the wire or the size of the beads, right? So there you go, guys. Don't forget, you can always watch the replay over on the Michael's YouTube channel, 24 to 48 hours. It will be uploaded. You can watch it as many times as you want to if you need to see this again. I'm going to turn you guys around and let you guys go. Don't forget that if you make these, post them with, make it with Michael's hashtag or hashtag Beadalon, because we all want to see them. I hope you guys have loved this project, and I look forward to seeing you guys again with another fun wire project. You guys have a wonderful rest of your afternoon and a great weekend. Bye, guys.